So one question a lot of clients and students have asked me is, did you know the pandemic was coming? And the answer is kind of. What I noticed, starting from probably round about last autumn, was that a lot of spreads for things like divorces, court cases, holidays, weddings, businesses, all that sort of thing, were coming up as often very positive for clients. I'd get a really positive reading, and then stuck somewhere in the spread would be either the Four of Cups, the Four of Swords, or the Hanged Man. Now, usually in a tarot reading, I can find the story between the cards. I can find the progression. I can find the clear link between each card. But what I would find in these readings that was odd was that whichever of these cards was in the spread didn't seem to fit with the rest of the reading. And so I'd find myself telling the narrative, explaining what was going to happen, and then I'd get to whichever card was in the spread and go, it just doesn't fit there. And so what the phrase I found myself using quite a lot, both with face-to-face email readings, online readings, was, it's really positive, but there's something funny about the timing. And now, obviously, we know what it is. And if we look at each of these cards, we can really get a feeling as to why they do refer to this time for all of us. So the Four of Cups, I know people talk about this as being bored, being stuck in the rut. It can be, but it's so much more of that. I see this as somebody who is meditating, someone who has withdrawn from everyday life. Notice how they've come up slightly above the landscape. They are sat by the tree. And I often think with this guy, he's got these three cups. These are great cups, but they're not what he really wants. So he's manifesting, he's meditating, he's connecting until what he really wants is available to him. And certainly for a lot of us right now, I think we're in a stage of looking at our life and saying, how much of that was really needed? What is it I really, really want now? Maybe I'm not going to accept just lots of stuff that's not quite what I want. This could be to do with relationships, it could be to do with how you spent your time, it could be to do with work. I think for a lot of us, this is a time when we're really reflecting on our life and trying to connect with what's really important with us. I mean, the Four of Swords, it can mean illness, it can mean recovery, but it's more than that. It's about mental discipline. The Suit of Swords represents our logical mind and our words. This is a card of mental health. And I think the uncounted cost of this pandemic is going to be the mental health cost for children that can't go to school, for people that are stuck in relationships that only survived because they didn't spend much time together, for for the people that are doing the caring work, people that are on the front line in the supermarkets. The mental health cost, I hope after this pandemic that mental health will get the focus that it really needs. And this is a card of peace. I think when the world that you know is thrown into disarray, finding mental peace is so important. This is a card of switching off the news, putting on some music, meditating, reading a good book. In my notes, I literally call this card the duvet day, and say that for our own mental health, sometimes we need to switch off and stop thinking. And the Hanged Man, bit of a favourite of mine. I very much associate it with Odin, Norse god of shamanism, who hung himself upon Yggdrasil. Classically, this is a card of slowing down. Classically, this is a card of things being suspended in the air. But I also think this is a card of deep, deep compassion. Notice how his crown chakra is completely alive. Notice how his heart chakra is above his head. What I hope is that we come out of this crisis with more feeling. When I see on the news reporters saying, what about the homeless? Part of me is angry, and I think, why weren't you asking that last year? And part of me is really glad, thinking, do you know what? I hope we're still asking this question next year.